Cool. So right off the bat, as soon as I initialize Git into this folder, I now have the ability to use commands like git status, which will tell me the status, the current state really of my code. And what it's telling me is it's on my master branch. We'll talk about branches a bit later on. We can kind of come back to that. And it's telling me that I have untracked files. So untracked or unstaged is another way you'll hear people refer to it. Means that these files do not have the ability to be committed. So a commit, to understand staging, let's actually talk about committing. So to commit the current state of the code is to take a snapshot of exactly what that code looks like. And because we can take as many commits as we want, we can make multiple changes, and we can always, commit those changes. And this is what gives us the ability to move forwards and backwards in time to different states of the code. So a commit is kind of like in a video game if you're able to save your current position in the game. So let's say you're on level 2 and you've just defeated the water dragon in that video game. You've just saved or made a commit at the beginning of level 2. Then let's say you start, going and investigating, exploring level 2, and then you notice that there's like some spiky cactus kills you, right? So no worries, it doesn't really matter that you lost your life, because you can revert back to that previous commit or that previous save location just after you defeated the water dragon, and now you know that the cactuses are bad and you got to stay away from them, so you can move forward from that point in time. So that's really what a commit is a snapshot of the current state of your code, right? So staging is what we do when we want to include a file to be committed, okay? So when I did git status, again, first we did git init to create a new empty repository inside of our folder, right? We're in the Simon Stamp Collection folder, initialized the repository. We called git status, and it told us that this file is untracked, readme.markdown. So given that, I want to save little snapshots of the changes to this file, I'm going to have to add it. So we're going to have to say git add, and we can say the name of the file, readme.md, like that. Another trick you might see people doing is if you just know that you want to track all of the files, you want to stage all of your files, you can do git add dot, and the dot in this case represents the entire directory structure. It's going to add all of the files that it can in the directory structure. Otherwise, you can do, if you want to be more granular, you can add them individually. Like I'll just do this individual file, git add readme, like that. Cool, so now that file is staged, and I can prove it to myself by typing git status, and you can notice that the message has changed. It no longer says there's an untracked file. It now says that there are changes on this file that we're tracking, meaning that since it tracked this file, it sees something that it doesn't have a snapshot of. It didn't save it, or we haven't told it to save yet. So since this new file is in existence, there's something that needs to be committed. There's some changes. So let's go ahead and commit them. We're going to say git commit, and we're going to give it this flag M, which stands for message, so we can type in a message. These messages will be viewable to other people who look at the repository. So they're viewable to myself, so I can see, if I go to a particular state and time, I can have an idea of what will happen to the code, what will change. But also, if I'm collaborating with other people, it's very useful for them to be able to see a message. So it's a practice. We usually write these in present tense. So I'm going to go ahead and say that this commit will add a readme with some text, right? Some text info inside. So I try and be as specific as possible there in the message, and we're just enclosing this message in quotes. And it needs this ending quote, of course, to know that it's that I'm finished with the message. I'm going to hit return, and cool. It says 1 file changed, 6 insertions. So what it's saying here is that we've just saved a little snapshot of the file. So if I change some stuff now, I can always get back to this. But let me show you how that works actually. Instead of saying about, let's say we wanted this to say about Simon. So I'll go ahead and save. And then if I do git status, Git is going to realize that there are some changes here. The changes I just made are currently not staged for the commit. All right, so in order to stage the changes, we'll do git add, and I'll add readme again, like that. And then I'll do a git commit -m, and here we'll say update about headline in the readme, right? Cool, and then we'll go ahead and make this commit. Cool. So if I ever want to see, all of the commits that I've made, I can type git log, and git log is going to show me all these commits. It starts off with this SHA key, which is like a unique identifier for each commit, and then it shows me the message, which now you can see the benefit of like writing really clear messages to your commits. So this most recent commit says update about headline in the readme, and this occurred 10 seconds ago by this GitHub user, which is me. And then this other commit, here's the identifier for that. It says add a readme with some text info, was about 2 minutes ago. So you can clearly see this one was 10 seconds and this one was 2 minutes ago. So again, that's git log. Okay, so we have git init to initialize a new Git repository. You only have to do that once when you want to first, set up Git inside of a folder. Then we have git status to check, the change, if anything's changed and what Git's doing about files. Then we have git add to stage files, and git commit to like take a snapshot of those staged files, right? Let's say that I made a mistake and for some reason I'm not happy about the about Simon. Now this is a simple example where obviously I could just delete Simon and save it, but let's say that, let's pretend that this represents hundreds of lines of code. Maybe I was working on a website for Simon's stamps and Simon wanted me to add like a blog or something like that. And I spent like an entire week creating a blog, and there's many different commits along the way. Every time I did something right, I was committing, which really you should do too, right? So then I have a meeting, Simon comes back to me and he says, you know what, I want to pull the blog out. I don't want the blog there. So we need to go back to a previous commit. We need to revert in time and go back to when our code didn't have this word here, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a command reset. So I'm going to say git reset, and then what we can do is we can copy in this little SHA ID here from the git log, right? Git log printed out our commits, then we copy. This is the commit we want to get back to, which was from 2 minutes ago or potentially months ago, right? And then I'm also going to give this guy a little flag which says basically --hard, which means like this is a hard reset, meaning that I don't care if there's conflicts or I lose anything. I just want to get back to this state of code. Cool, so that's telling us that the head is like our current position within like our git commits is now at this number, this commit ID, and it's telling us the message add a readme with some info text. Cool. So we can go over to Sublime Text and you can see it disappeared. So no work was lost. I was able to get back. And this is why people love Git. It's effortless to move about commits. And they're free. You can make as many commits as you want, right? So if I want to get back to where I was, I can actually go back here like this. I'll just put in the ID, the SHA for the most recent commit that was 10 seconds ago. Cool. And it says head is now at this position where I had updated the about headline, right? So if I jump over, you can see, bam, it pops back. The file refreshes in Sublime Text because it's nice, and we can see we're back to where we were. So commits are a snapshot. We can move forward and backward. Cool.